actually going to wait until it is 5 o'clock. But when it is, we will go. It is 5 o'clock. All right. So guys, on the stream, are we up there for that? We're getting there? All right. Tell me when we are, and we'll start officially when it can be streamed. Everybody's bright and shining faces. They're losing. Shocker. I told Bart that, or no, I told my father-in-law. I got Bart confused with my father-in-law. There's a deal. My teams are cursed this weekend. There's no way the Cowboys are losing or winning. There's no way. Are we close? Closer? Almost there? Just a hair more? If you did not pick one up, did everyone pick up a ballot when you came in? John Anderson's going to go get some of those. So if you don't have a ballot with you and you're one of our partners, if you could go ahead and raise your hand for that. We've got a couple of them right here. Anybody not get one when you came in? Looks like everybody did. Okay. I would have expected this group that you guys you're the group that picks up handouts, that actually reads things. So that's a really good thing. So we're happy for that. All right. Well, we want to welcome everybody here tonight for our 2025-2026 annual member meeting that we are having, or actually annual partner meeting that we have. By the way, if you don't know, we've changed our language in partnership from membership. And the reason we did that, quite honestly, was just because we felt like the word member seemed like a country club, special, kind of club of people where partnership invited people to partner with us in ministry. So that's the reason we changed that partnership language, which I'm struggling more than anyone to actually pick up myself. So again, my name is Randy Miller, and I'm the executive pastor here at AUC. And I'd like to start this meeting tonight, our partner meeting, with prayer. Father, thank you so much for this day and for this group gathered. Father, for those that are joining us online as well, we thank you for these families that make this place what it truly is. The body of Christ, uniquely given to this area, made up of people from this area to minister to people here and around the world. So Lord, we thank you for that. We do not take this lightly, because this is not our money, this is your money that you have provided to your people that we want to steward effectively. And Father, we thank you for the checks and balances that enable us to do that. We thank you for the many eyes that go through this process with us, that Lord, it can be truly from the congregation, with the congregation. So Lord, we thank you for that today. And Lord, we ask that as we look forward into this new year, that we truly are following your lead of the things that you desire for us to do. That it's not plans that we make and then ask you to bless, but Father, we have sought you out in calendaring. We want to seek you out in the implementation and certainly in the giving towards this particular year. So Lord, may we just ask that your name would be glorified, that people would come to know you because of everything that happens here today. Because this is truly about our future. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, I was telling Jonathan Spells earlier that his son did not want to come to the meeting, and I quickly said, well, Henry, this meeting is more about you than it is anyone else. It's about the future. So I want you to be interested in coming to these. We know he's not.
Actually, he's on his way.
He's on his way. So you guys welcome Henry when he comes in tonight. All right, I would like to officially entertain a motion that we start this. Oh, that's Jennifer Bever is giving us a motion. Do I have a second? Chad Colburn for the second. That we open this business meeting and call this business meeting to order. I want to share just a couple of vision statements and things of where we're at as a church. You guys, if you were here this morning, you saw the last 2 weeks, our first service has been packed out totally. The number that is listed over there that we should have in this building is 538. Now, I need you to understand, we had more than 538 in here this morning. We had 575 in here this morning. That number is no longer accurate because we added more parking spaces, so we can have more people. We can have up to 660 people in our worship service now. And so we're excited about that. We have 660 chairs in here right now. And that number will be going up to 750 this week, to the best of our ability. May not make it quite up to 750. 750, we believe, is about capacity for the number of chairs we can actually get in here comfortably, somewhat comfortably. But one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to take this back corner section, basically like we used to have it, and we'll add about 50 to 60 chairs in that corner. We will add some more to the aisles. We can go a little bit further than that. There's some other things we'll be doing. But again, that's an exciting thing to see. We all know what follows after packing this thing out twice means that at some point in the future we will be looking at a third service again. And so again, just God's blessing in so many different ways. And our country is in a place. We've had multiple folks who contacted us, appreciative of the way that Bart audibled last week and shared. And so we've had several families that have contacted us, thanking us for that sensitivity at this particular point in time in our country. But I've got a couple of things I'm just very excited about. So excited about what God is doing through our chair time, road time, and circle time. As this has been a specific emphasis for us this year, I'm so excited about what we have to offer now on our website, Beyond Sunday, that is really helping a lot of our people have a time alone with the Lord where they may not have had that before, or it's giving them a pattern of which they can follow. We know not everyone's going to be doing it this way. We know some of us have been doing this for quite some time and have our own patterns. That's great, but for somebody new, it's a phenomenal, great step. And I just want to thank Christina Brown and Bart Howell and Daniel Vaughn, those three specifically, who worked really hard to make that happen. So from the message preparation to getting it to Christina and Daniel and helping us come up with the questions and things to send out to our people. So I'm so appreciative of that. From our circle time, we've got more life groups, more than we've ever had before. People are getting connected at a deeper rate and a higher rate than we've ever seen before, so we're excited about that time as well. And obviously road time, we've been growing in here as well, to the tune of the opportunity for us to add more chairs and to make more space available as God is truly blessing us in that way. You're going to see the attendance numbers and all of that from Chris in just a few moments. But here's something we're tracking this year that I am so excited about. Folks, from our staff, we have over 900 people connected, volunteering on a regular basis. And I need you to understand, that puts us somewhere in the 85 to 90% range of people who are here who are volunteering in some way, shape, or form. That does not count people who volunteer for special events, which would be another 300. But we realize many of those same people, it would be double duty in that. And again, we're going to get to a more accurate number as our team is working through, reworking through what we call our leadership pathway. And we will be actually putting on board every person who volunteers in every area and singling out those who are working in multiple areas and working through it that way. So we're just very, very excited about what God is doing in that. And here's what that means. We're tracking this number this year, starting this year. We have 40,000 hours of volunteering time that's given over this last year. 40,000 hours. That is 770 hours a week that people are volunteering. Just conceptualize that for just a second. Chris gave this number earlier. Our paid staff gives 660 hours a week. That means that we have a whole unpaid staff that works more hours than our paid staff does in a weekly opportunity giving back to the Lord through service to our people. And that is this group right here, and I know that. So would you give yourselves a hand for that? That is an incredible number. Because what we want to do, we know that if we can help people connect through a life group and through ministry, this will be their church home. And that's what the real secret to connecting people is in ministry and in opportunities to be in relationships. And we're so excited about that. We've had more baptisms than we ever had. And Chris is going to share some of those actual numbers today. But I just wanted to share from a staff, longtime pastor perspective of the things I'm so excited about. I'm excited about our discipleship continuing to go deeper and deeper. Personal one-on-one discipleship, group discipleship. Discipleship is a way that, quite honestly, several years ago, I began to rethink this about what my life is actually about. And here's what I believe I've been called to do, that our staff is called to do. We cannot make people fall in love with Jesus. We cannot make people get connected. It is our job to create environments where people can find a meaningful relationship with one another and with God. And I'm so proud of this team that they've done it. You need to understand that this whole process that we're going through tonight is, it first starts with some of our staff team as they, back in June of this year, May and June, they got all of their numbers in. That goes to our director team, which I'll talk a little bit more about. Our director team then overviews that, talks about salaries, talks about all the different surveys and looking at where we are in salaries for our area, because that's how they gauge that by churches our size that are actually in our area. And then that goes to our elder team. This time we went back to our director team and back to our elder team once, simply because we needed to add a few things that we missed the first time, and then it finally comes to you guys. So again, this has been a long, drawn-out process. It's been worked on since May, and it's coming to fruition tonight. And again, just a great team who's been a part of it. One other thing that we're going to do tonight is not on the ballot. You'll actually have a vote. We are actually need to bring on a new director onto our financial director team, because Ms. Starlin Smith is rotating off because she's given many years. You know how many years, Starlin? At least 6. Somewhere between 4 and 6. Somewhere, that she has stayed on even longer than what her term needed to be. And so she's going to be rotating off this during our time today. And if we vote in, Ms. Kathy Gonzalez, would you stand right here, Kathy? Kathy is our person that we're putting forward to vote on that tonight as we vote on those ministry directors. So Kathy has been involved for at least the last 2.5 years here at EDC, and she works in our partnership group. She's worked, I think, have you worked also with our young couples? With some of them? Yes? Some in and yes? Through that, she's involved in John Anderson's life group, and again, Kathy's just been phenomenal to serve in multiple areas, and we're putting forward to, we have other folks that are on our team. You'll see all of them here tonight. Jennifer Weber is on that team. Jonathan Spells is on that team. Bart, myself, and Samuel Kalishaw is also on that team. So we have male representation, female, all throughout the church doing different ministries. And so we need to bring one new person on for that. Those are some things that I'm just thrilled about and excited about to share with you guys as we move further. I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan Spells. Jonathan is on our director team. He is the elder representative on our director group. So our director group is not a decision-making group, they're an oversight group, and our elder team brings this as a recommendation. So the budget that you're seeing comes recommended from our staff, directors, and our elder team.
Thank you, Randy. Good afternoon, everyone. As Randy said, my name is Jonathan Spells. I am part of the elder team here at EDC, and I also sit on the director board. I want to thank all of you for being here this afternoon, for taking the opportunity to be involved in what God is doing in His church and in our community. Also, I want to thank you for being willing to participate in the stewardship of what God has blessed us with. I wanted to take an opportunity to share a bit of my heart as it relates to discuss today with the Ministry Action Plan. I apologize. I'm not used to holding the mic in my left hand, so I'm kind of all over the place. It's kind of weird, sorry. Our mission at EDC. Can y'all hear me?
All right, so you got to do the web, so I'm just going to hold it for you. There you go. There you go. Actually, do we have a mic? Boom? Do we have a boom anywhere? Yeah, you'll get over yourself. You'll be fine.
Good little bit behind me. Sorry. So our mission here at EDC is to love God, love people, and to develop disciples. And these last two, I want to take just a moment and just kind of share in my heart as we go through our ministry action plan for 2025-26. We love people, and this is an action. We're to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and in order to directly love the people, we need resources, we need materials, we need people. We need to be able to get to the people where they are to be able to provide for and serve the people. We develop disciples. We need to, and we do, reach out to those around us to bless them, to encourage them, and even train them with things like launching multipliers. And Ron Horton last week we had an evangelism course class that helped us, and he took us through a structure of being able to share the gospel. You know, a lot of times we might be a little intimidated by those opportunities, but it's important to be able to have that available and to be current with that and to know how to be effective with that. That as we share with people, share the gospel with them the first time, or perhaps share the gospel with them again as they have heard it previously, reinforcing that. So we do that here. We help instruct and we help train and encourage. And that's one of the really amazing things that God is doing here, is that the reality of all of this is the authenticity of the people, the willingness for everyone to help each other, understanding we're on the same team. We're all here to advance God's kingdom, and we can only do that together. We are designed to commune and to support and spur each other on. We also have in our spiritual, might even call it toolbox, we have the 3-rung ladder concept that we as an individual are on the middle rung. We have someone next to us that we are accountable to, that encourages us, that we can relate to. We have a rung that is above us, that pours into us, that speaks wisdom over us. We have a lower rung that is someone we find that we can pour into and speak that wisdom into their life. We also have a participating church plants. We support local churches. We support national churches. We support global churches. We also train church planners internationally. With Pastor Bart Kojak going to India, supporting that, being able to do that. That's an amazing thing that God is doing here. I don't firsthand understand how many other churches are doing that at that level, but I know how big it's happening here, and I know it's because God is doing that. God has blessed us with so much. So as we go through the ministry action plan presentation today, you'll be able to see the growth over the years, what God has blessed us with, how much He's doing here, and I want us to be aware of the not normal. That is, it's not ordinary. God is doing so much here, and we seem to be so willing to pick the ball up and run with it. So we run, we've got our goals. We have even more goals that I think that we are approaching, but we'll go up to that in just a second. God has put this community around us. I mean, it's exploding. When the church was built out here, there was nothing out here. And the community, God brought the community to us. And so that has increased everything around here. It's increased our attendance, our participation. It's increased our giving. You can see with our ministry action plan how it's grown consistently over the years. It's important for us to continue to stay ready, to be available to receive this community that God has put around us and be ready and again, willing to serve them and to keep that heart and to keep our culture as it has been. Again, we have been able to see how God has blessed us and allowed us to continue to cover the necessities of the church. God has put us in a position where we can keep the lights on. We can pay the staff. We have expanded the building. We have expanded parking. We've expanded all these things. So God has shown his willingness and his faithfulness as we cover those things. But there's more. As Pastor Bart consistently reminds us, we want to be one of the most generous churches of our generation. We want to be able to give away more than we keep. So we were able to obtain some statistics for our geographic area. That's a 76179 area code. And we were able to find the mean, the average compensation per household in our area. That combined with, we have a little over 600 giving families in our church. So if we take that mean, that average compensation per household, multiply it times the number of giving households that we have in our church, that generates a giving potential of over $7 million. You'll see that our ministry action plan is 40% of that. So with that, it's amazing what we would be able to accomplish. Look what we're doing now with what God has given us. Look at what God has given us, the opportunity, the wisdom, the discipline even, to accomplish with what we have. We can keep the lights on. We can cover the ministries. We can pay the staff. Again, we can even expand things that we have here. But with the giving potential of that, $7 million, that is so much further past what we need just to run the building. That's what gets us to that goal of being able to give away more than we keep. As we go through this today and we hear and we're inspired, I'm hoping that that passion continues to build here, even in this small group, those who are listening, that it grows in our church and it even spills over into our community around us, spills over to our country, spills over to the rest of the world. We have a really big opportunity to leave a mark in history for God's kingdom. We just need to take that opportunity and move that ball forward and go where God wants us to go. And thank you very much again for being here this afternoon, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
All right, well, good evening. I think I've met most of you by now. I've just joined the staff in January, so this is my first time through this planning cycle. And like I said, I think I've met just about everybody. But for those I haven't, my name is Chris Weir, Senior Director of Operations, Administration, and Finance is my title. Take a breath after that one. But we'll focus on the third thing there, the finance, this evening. I've got about 15 slides that we'll just walk through. It mirrors the handout that you got as you came in. And we'll walk through that, as well as some of the statistics that Randy and Jonathan both mentioned that are the other ways that we measure this beyond just the number of people that are here every week or how much the giving is, but other things that we can do to help assess our effectiveness as well as our growth. So with that, we'll dive right in and start off with the first slide, which is our attendance look back over the last 4 years. So current year is the top line in blue. It is measured off the calendar year, so we started in January. That's why you don't see it going all the way across yet, because we still have 3.5 months to go. Yellow was last year, and then the 2 years prior to that. So you can clearly see that jump in attendance, getting close to doubling where we were, just 4 or 5 years ago. What we also are adding, you may have seen a chart like this at meetings like this in the past, but what I would like to highlight is also our online participation that has also been growing and expanding. 3 different live platforms on Sunday morning, as well as playbacks during the week for both the YouTube broadcast as well as the podcast that we have as well. So a total of 5 different virtual options as well for participation. And with what we're averaging right now this year, it's getting close to the equivalent of another service's worth of people, almost, is where we're getting at. So it's almost like a virtual third service in terms of numbers. Not quite, but it's trending in that direction. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to a couple other things. Go ahead. Baptisms is up next, something that we track. We are up to 121 year to date, with about 9 days left in the year, exceeding each of the past 3 years, of course, in the number of baptisms that we've been privileged to perform here at EBC. Slide. All right, continuing with the discipleship, the groups and circles. So I think, Daniel, if I'm not mistaken, classes are included in that as well. Is that right? Yep, okay, so group, circles, classes. Currently at 55 for this year. And again, when we start looking back, 4 or 5 years over our shoulder, we're getting close to doubling some of these numbers, is the trajectory that we're on. New partners joining the church, of course, multiple newcomer lunches and partnership classes throughout the year, so those are going as well. And we'll touch briefly on the staff. Next slide. So currently at 22, as far as what our regular staff is that administer the ministries. Of course, some change out, some turnover, some reorganization over the last year, but really what I would call the expansion would be the addition of our EVC Go resident recently, Zach Brown. Anything you want to add on that right now?
Just keep in mind with this that does not mean that these are all full-time staff. So we have full-time and part-time staff in this number of 22. Where is Zach Brown? Where are you at? All right, Zach, would you stand? Just excited. We are really, really excited to have Zach. We had a phenomenal experience. For me, it was a phenomenal experience because in our staff meeting just a couple days ago, we're going back through our leadership pathway, and I was so excited when I asked how many of our current staff actually came up through EVC, and all but four of those came through EVC, up through EVC. And so that's what we want to see is people who understand our culture, get our culture, are the people that we're hiring to come on our staff team. And that's been a very, very exciting thing. And Zach specifically, was a part of Just Accepted Christ here within the last few years. You've seen a video on he and Christina, but he was personally discipled by Ben Coleman, was in their life group. And then when Ben went to Peaster, Zach and Christina just really stepped into that. But we have seen Zach just really, his call to ministry, affirming that as well. And so we're just really excited about that. So thanks, Zach, for being on our team.
All right, so again, continuing the trend of moving towards, doubling here with the trajectory that we're on. Not quite there yet, but if we look 4 years back, we're getting close to doubling that as we continue. Okay, so now we'll move into some of the specifics of the financials themselves. Next slide. So this is a snapshot current as of Friday, 2 days ago, of what our current financial overview is, if you will. So cash in the bank on the top, $1.2 million is what we had to our name. Of that, we've got $125,202 in our building fund. That's one of our designated funds. We'll talk more about that as we go through. We do maintain a 2-month operating reserve, $353,000 there, and other designated funds that also sit within inside that, EVC Go being among the largest of those, but as well as other designated funds that are either elder allocated or designated by the giver at the time of giving. So we've got $177,000 currently in that, not including the building fund. The debt that we do currently have for this building, there's 2 different notes totaling $4.8 million. The smaller of those, phase 1 is set to renew here in December. So we're working on that right now. That was part of the discussions going into this next ministry action plan for 25-26. And the phase 2 note will renew in February 26. So this time next year, we'll also be talking about renewing one of our 2 loans, just like we're going to touch on tonight. Now, projected giving through the end of the year. So with 9 days left to go, the $2,434,797 is what we anticipate will be our giving. Now, that is our just undesignated general tithes and offerings giving. So if you write a check to EVC Go, it's not going to be included in this particular total right here. This total is what we do to run the schedule, pay the staff, and that's the bulk of what our ministry action plan is built around. So as we step through this tonight, you won't see EVC Go on your handout. You won't see some of the other ministry type things that we do beyond the church, because really the ministry action plan is focused on what I would call running our schedule each week. So the Sunday morning schedule, all the weeknights, weekly activities, all those things are what's in here. But again, EVC Go is the biggest part of that is funded separately through its own EBC Go campaign that actually runs on a April to March cycle, as opposed to our regular fiscal year of October through September that we're closing out 24-25 right now. And then finally, at the bottom, the projected expenses by the end of the year. So we're on a trajectory to come in below both what we budgeted as well as less than what we've anticipated being blessed with from giving. So good.
That's good.
There. Yep. Yep. All right. So with that, we'll start stepping through just kind of the path that we're on. Slide. So this is going to show the last few years of our ministry action plans. You can see over the last 4 years especially a fairly consistent growth of around 9% from year to year, about a 9% growth, and this year is following that same trend. Slide. This is I've got a couple of side-by-side comparisons to go through our current year that we're closing out right now, so 24-25, next to 25-26, just to show some of the similarities and the growth there. So 55% of the current year is on our personnel. So pay, benefits, taxes is about 55% of our regular budget. 34% of the current year is what it takes to run the facility, essentially. So some of the church-wide expenses, but the biggest of that is just running this building, paying the mortgage, keeping the lights on, keeping the grass mowed, all those types of things, all the maintenance that goes into it. And then you see the different ministry areas. The church-wide is the blue, and then you have Next Gen in orange, and the adult ministry in green, which as you look from the left to the right, you see that those are fairly consistent overall throughout as we go from this year to next year. The biggest difference that I would note here, you see that the blue went from 34 to 32. That's not because it's gotten cheaper all of a sudden to run the building. It's because we actually moved some things into some different ministry areas just to assist with the oversight and the management of those funds. An example would be like the church's Right Now Media subscription that we have. That went from being part of kind of running the building over into the discipleship ministry to let Daniel have oversight of that, just as an example. A couple of the other things were some of the church-wide events that we have, Easter cross service, Barney's, moving those under Randy at the executive level or under Ken, under worship and creative. So that's why you see that change from 34 to 32 on the blue. And you see adults go from 1% to 2% of the pie. So the next slide is similar, but it goes more just into the tabular data of that. So left is what we're currently operating on right now for the next 9 days. I already mentioned that projected giving number of what we anticipate closing out the year with. We're on track for that. And then you see each of those different ministry areas that formed the wedges of that pie that we just looked at. So the bottom, so 12 months ago, the $2,379,000, that's what was approved 12 months ago. And then as you slide to the right, what we're proposing tonight is the $2,604,169. Now, if you go back up to the top, projected giving, what we anticipate if we project forward based on our current trends, we prayerfully anticipate $2,653,929 for the next 12 months. And again, that's primarily just the undesignated giving, just general tithes and offerings, just to run the schedule. So again, if you write a check to EBC Go, that's not what we're including in that. This is just general offerings. And what I'd like to emphasize here, the projected giving at the top for 25-26 and the total, you'll see we've got just under $50,000 of margin built in right there. So we anticipate taking in more than what we're proposing spending. So right around $50,000 in margin. And again, we base that on it was a 9.4% increase in budgets over the last few years. We've also seen right around a 9% increase in giving over that same time period. So those two curves are very close in how they play out. So we'll spend just the last few minutes stepping through the individual ministry areas. What I've got on the slides is just kind of the top level subtotals, if you will. The handouts that you have go into more detail on how each of these lines is broken out. So I'll pause briefly to give you a chance to look through those, but under church-wide ministries, this is administered by Randy, Ken, and Christina. For the vision and leadership, which is pastoral conferences, elder business, elder activities. Of course, the worship is all things worship. Creative and online is a big part of our advertising and virtual presence as well.
This also covers all residents that we have on our team are underneath this budget as well. And again, what we can do with questions as well is if you have questions in each in each of these areas as we go through, feel free to let us know that. We do need to make sure that that gets on our stream as well. So Daniel and Dustin will be coming to you if you have a question about any of these individual areas as we walk them through. I know we were going to keep questions to the end, Chris, but I think if we just do it through individual sections, we'll cover most of those. And then we can cover any additional questions that you have at the end as well. So the first one, vision and
Can you ask the
leadership. Yeah. First one,
Plant.
vision and leadership. And again, Chris just described what that was. So any questions under vision and leadership about what that entails, or a specific question about that one? And again, you can ask questions at the end as well. Just want to make sure as we're going through these, it might spark a question as we do that. Yes, we're over here.
I promised Randy that I'd have Katie ask a question. Actually, if you could explain what residence means, because
Yes, great. So we committed ourselves a couple years ago. I had a stark realization. Bart and I have really been working over the years of asking the question, why are we not seeing more church planters come up through our ministry? We go out and find church planters, and then we support them. And our whole heart and intent was to see more folks come up through our ministry and then potentially go out and plant churches, or go someplace else and be a pastor on somebody else's staff or somebody else's team, or grow up within and become a part of our team. In that stark realization that I came to is Bart, myself, Daniel, Andrew, others on our team all came up through our churches being recognized as being called to ministry and getting to serve there through internships, or what we also call residencies. And so we began a couple of years ago to have residents on our team that, since they called to ministry, are in preparation for that in some way, shape, or form, whether it be education or training. And that's also one of the reasons why we started our class structure of doing things like world religions, discipleship, money-wise, doing some of these things. We're looking to do next semester to do something on our on church history. So we started developing those because we also wanted to train up more of our people to have a pipeline or a pathway for them to develop into this. And so that's what we've been working towards. So our residents currently, we have Rachel Rimmers, who is in our kids ministry. We have Andrew Moore in our middle school ministry, and we've just brought Zach Brown on in EVC Go. So in those areas, we have residents, and we're very excited to continue to promote this further. Now, that's what we call residents. Ashley, thank you. And Ashley Kaufman in our worship and creative. Sorry, Ashley. Thank you. You're sitting too far back, Ashley. You should be up here up front. No. So those are our 4 residents currently. We also have spots for interns. Interns are a little bit different. They're people who are evaluating a call to ministry, and they are unpaid. So we've had some in the past. We don't currently have some in our system, but we look forward to bringing more of those in our system. In essence, they don't get paid. It's being around such a stellar group of individuals as our staff that is their payment. But it's how we all started in ministry. So does that give a good enough explanation? So thank you. That's what residencies are, and that is who they are.
Okay.
Anything else on vision leadership? All right. Next.
Okay. Worship creative, or we can move on to next gen.
Worship and creative online. So all this is led by Ken Broom. So we have a question in front. Will?
Just curious. It's on, I don't know. We pay people to write songs.
Excuse me?
It's songwriting.
We have done more of this in the past than we are currently doing now, but we still have a commitment to it that we're not paying people to write songs. Those are retreats that our teams sometimes go on in order for the outcome to be writing songs. So we're not paying them to write songs. That is simply something that we have in our calendar as an opportunity for them to have some retreat time to write those songs. Does that make sense? We've done more of that in the past than what we're currently doing, but we're still committed to the opportunity. Ken Broom will be the first to tell you, because he told me when he was hired, that his most important thing is what happens here on Sunday. And any songwriting and things that we do will come out of the overflow of that. It won't be a specific priority in that. So, good question. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Ken? Did I adequately answer that?
Yes, that's all right. And also out of that line item comes the expenses that it requires to have the songs that we have written to be licensed properly and distributed across digital platforms. That costs money every year, so it comes from that as well. It also costs money to mix, master, record, do all of that when we do write something. So that's all part of that line item.
All right.
All right, slide, next gen. All right, 70,247 split across the 4 different age groups, if you will, for next gen under Dustin's leadership.
So Dustin, what we did last year, I went to a little bit different development strategy. And so I have 5 direct reports. Chris in operations, administration, and finance. Daniel in adults and discipleship. Dustin in next gen, which is birth through high school. Ken with creative and online, and then of course Zach with EVC Go. So those are my direct reports, and so that's kind of what's being reflected here of how we're operating our staff. So next gen, this relates to these 4 areas: nursery and preschool, elementary, middle school, and high school. Dustin gives more leadership directly to our middle school. He kind of leads from the middle school position, but he has oversight over all of these areas. Of course, he has experience in all these areas except high school. So again, he's leading all of these, so these are the areas that fall under Dustin's leadership and direction. Any questions about those? Or about what they cover? Sunday morning operation, camps, events, all of those things are covered under these line items. All right, if a question comes up, you can ask it at the end. Let's move on.
Okay, next slide is adult ministries.
So,
48,685 spread across the ministry areas you see here.
yep, and so this is all under Daniel's leadership, which involves our senior ministry, under Steve Ross's leadership, our women and Hope ministry, which is under Shauna, and then Jack Curley with our counseling ministry. All these report to Daniel and are included in adult ministries. These are actual budgets. For the last couple of years, we have run a surplus in women's ministry, and we have spent that surplus down, which was our intent. We'd like to spend designated money before we spend budget money. And so we've been doing that, and so they've spent that all down. So now we've raised that ministry, that women's ministry budget. Now keep in mind, for men and women's, they're also typically paying for events to get people there to help offset those costs. So these are budgets that are within those particular ministries. But it doesn't necessarily include money that someone may pay to come to an event. All right. No questions? All right, we'll move on to the next.
All right, ministry support is next. So this is everything it takes to run the building, if you will, to run the schedule. So we've got comms, IT, general church ministries, which is largely like the security team, emergency supplies, that type of thing. Communion supplies are in there. Running the office, that's contracts for the copier, paper, et cetera. Facility services, of course, is the biggie, and over half of that is the payments on the mortgage. And then, of course, you got utilities, maintenance, cleaning, custodial, et cetera.
So any questions on ministry support? Ruth, in the middle?
Mine was on the I can't tell if it's saying it. Under facilities, building, mortgage payments, I don't understand the renewing loans thing. I guess because it's different than a home thing.
Right. Yeah, these were on, this isn't like a 15 or 30-year mortgage like we're used to as homeowners. This one, I don't know if it was a 3-year. Honestly, I'm not sure when it originally started.
It was a
before my time.
5-year.
5-year.
I have direct connection with Karen Schwager in the audience to know it was 5 years. Was our first loan, and it's renewing now. So we have to renew that loan, and obviously it was at a lower percentage rate than what we're able to get now. So the renewal, one of the things that we put in our budget is for a higher mortgage payment because the mortgage rate of interest has gone up on that. And as Chris said, next year we'll be dealing with the other loan renewing. So we can pray those interest rates down throughout the remainder of this year. So that would help us greatly. Ruth, and you want to follow up that up? Go ahead and come back to Ruth, please.
So how many times do we renew a loan?
We renew the loan until it's paid off. So whatever number of years, not every year, we will get a term. Do you know what we're currently looking? Is it a 3-year?
Yeah.
The current one that we're looking at is a 3 additional year. One of the reasons we locked in at a 5-year is because we knew it was a great interest rate. So we did our best to lock in for a longer period of time. And so now that's a revolving deal. So now we have to, every 3 years, we will need to renew. But if we got a better interest rate than one that we felt really good about, we might lock it in for a longer duration. But again, those notes will be there until we pay off those 2 loans. Jennifer Weber.
Under bank service charges, what are those? Could you explain?
Boy, that is a great question. Those are service charges for when anyone ever uses their credit card. We have to pay a service charge for that. However, if you switched your giving to come direct from your bank account, that's 25 cents as opposed to a 4%. So for everyone here and anyone watching online, that saves us a lot of money if we can do it that way as opposed to from credit card services. Is it 30 cents?
30 cents.
Sorry, it went up.
Yes, it did.
Inflation is what that is.
Yes.
It went up 5 cents. And what do we pay on credit cards?
4 to 7%.
4 to 7%. That the evil Satan gets our money instead of 30 cents.
Which translates to, I think, close to $20,000 for a year. 21,000. Yeah. Yep.
Great question, Jennifer. And let's take a second great question from Jennifer.
Is there an option when people use their credit cards that they'll pay for the fee?
Yes, you may pay for the fee yourself when you're actually giving that way. Or for 30 cents, you could do a deduction from your bank account, which might be even a better way to do that. I did not stage those questions. Craig?
I see that Lionheart revenue sharing is actually generating income of $36,000. Is that partnership going well? Is that on target for what we were expecting? What's a little bit about Lionheart?
Great question. So it is under the target that we are expecting, and because of that, we requested a change in directors last year, and we received that. And so we have a new director who is being more attentive to that and trying to increase those numbers. If you've looked right across the street, we have another child care facility that's getting ready to be right across the street from us. So this is an opportunity for us to make hay while the sun shines and increase that number. And it is increasing. It's just increasing a little bit slower. So that number, 36,000, will continue to go up as the enrollment increases. And so we have committed that we will use that money to pay for any expenses like the extra HVAC electrical costs that are created by Lionheart. We'll pay for some of that, and then the remainder will also go to debt retirement. So that's what we've committed to. And so as that number continues to rise, that's where we've already earmarked where that money will go. Any other elders want to give any input into that? But we are below where we want to be. And we voice that when we can, and we should. But it is growing. So I think we are at, Dustin, do you have a latest, about 100? We're right between 90 and 100 students currently. Our capacity is 180? 182. So we're sitting right around 50% of our capacity. And so we certainly want that to increase.
All right.
All right, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, so that is the,
Sorry, personnel.
okay, and personnel, sorry, yeah.
Slide on
That's a big
personnel. Again, this was the biggest wedge of the pie that we showed earlier. 56% of the proposed budget goes to the personnel costs. Just over $1 million of that is in our wages, again, for those 22 positions that you saw. What wasn't listed there is, of course, some of the other hourly assistants that we have for sanitation setup and childcare for like Monday evenings, Wednesday evenings, that type of thing. So that is in here, even though it's not part of the faces that you saw there on the website as kind of the regular staff.
In churches across the nation, the typical rate of budget is between 50 and 65% of ministry budgets are usually personnel. So we are in a decent spot of right around 55% of our current. Just so you know, we don't set our own salaries. That is done by our directors, which then goes to our elder board to do that. When it includes one of us, like Bart or myself, we excuse ourselves from any discussion in any of those. This year, we actually, because we developed a personnel manual for the first time, a complete personnel manual, we used an HR firm that actually also ran 10 of our salaries over the last 12-month period. We ran 10 of our salaries that really dug down deep into a survey of our area. It actually goes to a per hour rate, and it looks at where we're at in those. And so we try to stay around those averages, not above. We try not to be the highest church in the area or the lowest church in the area. We're trying to stay in a median range with that. But that's not to say that I think we have a median staff. We do not. We have an excellent staff. So we're not trying to go mediocre. That's just where we really try to gauge our salaries to be on the conservative side of that. So that's how we do that. Just want to make it very clear to anyone who's new, we don't set our own salaries. That is done by a team of people, and it's looked at with multiple eyes across the area. But any questions about any of that?
Of course, the benefits is the health insurance, life insurance, disability coverage, and then the taxes. Of course, we're tax exempt for sales tax, but this covers payroll taxes is what the vast majority of the $98,000 is payroll tax. And retirement matching is another benefit rolled up in there as well that we offer.
And we do offer our retirement matching is at 7%, which is from an industry area really good. Considered high by some in the audience on the elder team. Clay Trantham, otherwise known as Scrooge McDuck. All right. Now, let's go back to any other questions that you may have had at any other time. Any other questions about this at all? Yes, ma'am. Oh, hang on one second. Becky Hughes.
I would like to see a breakdown on EVC Go. Where does that money go?
Okay, well, you will see that, and that will be in our EVC Go budget time, which will be in February and March. So we specifically have all of that lined out then. It is not in our budget, so it is a separate budget that goes with that EVC Go gift. And so we can provide that for you, where every one of those dollars and how that's broken down, but we won't cover it until we're going into that particular season.
Well, last year you said you would cover it so we could see it
Okay,
at this meeting, I thought.
okay. So I didn't recognize
From the
that.
standpoint of some of the ministries that are in this room right now, we would like to see that.
Yeah, and it's available to you at any time. We can go over that individually at any time with that. What I would just say is, it's not in this because this is not its budget time period. Its budget goes from April 1 around to March 31. And so that's because it's a separate issue. We don't deal with it during this particular meeting. So again, we can always provide it for you. I mean, you can come in and look at any of those items. That is something, it's elder allocated, and so we allocate most of that in April to what ministries it's going to go to, and then throughout the rest of the year, we allocate a majority of it, and then through the remainder of the year, we allocate as needed whatever funds were left over from that.
It was my understanding that our budget ended
No, your budget did not. I clarified that with Neil. Your budget does not end. Last year we were short on prayer quilting budget is what we're talking about. On prayer quilting, we ran out early last year and we allocated more money to it since it needed it. And we did that at this time period last year to get it to finish up in March. So we did allocate money at this time, but that was simply because that was when we ran out of it. And so in April, then again, we allocated its whole budget for the whole year. So we gave it more money at that April 1st time period. But absolutely, EVC Go is always open and available to come in and look at what was allocated in what particular area and how that money's being spent. So if I did not provide it and said that we would, I apologize. That was not, but again, it doesn't fall in this. It kind of confuses everything. And that's where some of our discussion in the past has gotten confusing because people think EVC Go is being voted on here, and it's not. That is, we vote by giving, and that is done in the February for that 1st of March offering. Okay, great question though. What else? Anything else? All right. So, in front of us, you have your ballot. Now, don't get excited and leave after you do your ballot. We mistakenly said this in the first service, and it's only because I told Dustin to say it. It is not an anonymous ballot. We do not, it's not a vote where you have to be recognized as someone who might be dissenting. You must put your name on the ballot so that we can trace and make sure every person who votes is a partner. So if you've been through our partnership class and signed our covenant, that means you're a partner. So you're eligible to make this vote. If you would at this time put your name on that, if you need a pen or anybody need ballots, they're available at the tables right behind you, but Dustin and Daniel, Sean will get you those. All right. If you would vote on that at this time. No. Go ahead and ask a question. Yo.
I am not seeing unhindered special needs ministry on here.
Okay. She is not seeing unhindered special needs ministry. That's because it has a large surplus in designated giving. So it has, Kendra, can you tell me roughly, do you know roughly how much unhindered has in the designated fund, just in a ballpark, or Marissa? Marissa can tell me.
Alexa, how much is in the...
No, it's Marissa. Marissa, how much is in? She is our Alexa around here.
Is it in the elementary section?
It's okay. It would be if it were budgeted. It's not budgeted because it has such an excess in the designated, and we want to spend designated first. If it was zero, we would budget it. But we don't budget it because it has an excess in the designated. These are sometimes funds that people give to throughout the year, as they do to other ministries. Yeah, Unhindered is our ministry to children with special needs and to their families, which we are having a large group of students who are children with Downs, one of which is my nephew. We had another young lady here this morning who was in our first service, and we have 3 or 4. What is happening is a community is kind of beginning to form as they see other students who are here that they may go to school with and other things. And so that's a population we're already working with because we work with the Texas Down Syndrome Partnership who already do events at our location, more so than just our kids. And the answer is?
11,039.
So there's 11,000 in that particular fund. All right. Well, if you would complete that ballot, and we're going to go ahead and, so some of our staff, would you guys just collect those and take those to the back, if you would? And don't leave just yet, because we do want to, Kathy, I'm going to go have you and Robert go ahead and step out, if that's okay with you guys. And Steve, if you'd go with Robert and Kathy just for a second there outside. You can, yeah. Robert wants to vote no for Kathy. No, that's not legitimate. He did not say that. He did say it, but he didn't mean it. And again, by a vote of simply yay if you approve and nay if you do not. All those in favor of approving Kathy Gonzalez as one of our budget directors on our team, would you vote by saying aye or yay? Yay! Any votes dissenting? Saying nay? All right, Starlyn,